get ourselves settled in here. So, alright folks, I haven't done this in quite a while, but this episode was so hilariously outrageous and disconnected from any semblance of reality, I thought let's do a video on it. Now, considering this is a public forum, let's say, there's no footage, so you will just have to take an honest utensil's word for it and use your imaginations, if you still have any. The internet is a very strange place, and considering the lack of media richness and real-world face-to-face interactions, you can always count on people to be, well, frankly, more animated, if I'm being kind, and unhinged, if I'm being blunt. Now, considering the internet's most vocal spaces are often occupied with an excessive amount of Yanks, you can see their culture group dynamics play out in these places. Depending on the demographic, it's a good microcosm for observing their stereotypes on display in often exaggerated forms. Yes, it is basically this meme on steroids. And over the weekend, I found myself in a space with mostly non-whites and mainly of the American variety. You can already see where this is going to go, can't you? Now, something that I've noticed specifically with Black Americans, they are by far the most racially obsessed groups of people I have ever come across, more so than the people back home, which is really saying something. In South Africa, it's more politically driven, but with the American ones, it's so deeply rooted in culture to what I would consider a psychologically unhealthy degree. And because I've been around these spaces before, again, the internet is a playground and I have excellent pattern recognition ability, thank you German genetics, even in text-only forums you can spot this. In every group of Black Americans, you will have, say, one or two that's wired a cut above the rest, and anyone else will like them for what they espouse. For every one or two of these individuals, though, you will have at least, say, 12 or 15 that will dislike them for it, and in that 12 to 15 or so, there will be one that is channeling militant, furious hatred. And that hatred has an energy that pulls and amplifies others like a lightning rod to one's asshole. This particular group that I found myself in said militant, furious hatred was aimed at me, and my good God was it hilariously stupid. This group was discussing men's issue in the Black community, which, you know, any community can chime in on. Men and women are kind of universal, very shocking, I know. But this one wench of a creature, as soon as she heard my accent, activated Banshee mode 6th gear and broke the gearbox, launching into a hatred of white people that defies all logic in a manner that I have never experienced. This one might take the cake as the stupidest, most indoctrinated female I have ever come across in my entire life. And considering I do political commentary and I see Twitter and TikTok virals quite consistently, you could take it pretty seriously when I'm telling you this with no exaggeration whatsoever. I wish I had video footage to show you guys. If I showed her outburst to some bigger YouTubers or Twitter profiles, I will bet my life she would go as viral as that ditzy blonde who complained that she couldn't find any non-conservative men who are conservative. It's hilarious her profile now is no longer public. It couldn't possibly be because the entire Western world was mocking you for being that stupid, but anyway. You remember those women who went viral when Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed? Or when Roe vs. Wade got overturned? Those unhinged lunatics in their cars bashing the steering wheel, screaming, or the ones looking square into the camera full-on yelling? That's the level of amped we're talking about here. This went on for well over an hour. Constant short bursts of the most anti-white racism that I had ever seen. And what's hilarious was, and I swear to God this is true, I probably spoke for about less than a minute during this whole period, because she was constantly yelling over everyone, even when she asked them a question. Just a single sentence from me, and my mere presence spurred this into action. Meanwhile, another guy was doing virtually all of the opposition. It was fantastic entertainment. But I have to say this, I am genuinely baffled by the delusional world that these things live in. And I will say things because no sane human being would ever say what these lemmings do. It's funny, I've had quite a few conversations with non-whites outside of America, and there's this pretty consistent vein of acknowledgement with almost all of them, but specifically when it comes to Black Americans, that no one puts white people on a pedestal more than non-whites. The more this Banshee spoke, she just became the most stereotypical meme, ticking off every cliche checkbox you can imagine, and some new ones. Not only what she thinks, but also her own profile, hates men over 30, single, childless. At least I think she was childless. If she has any kids, my God, those poor children. The amount of power this Banshee thinks white people wield would make your jaw drop or send you laughing into a coma. You ever see regular white people who don't engage in this kind of stuff hear these opinions for the first time? Their faces are this glorious mix of sheer confusion that says, what in the holy hell are these people talking about? And what's really scary, again, wildly confusing, is that these people have absolutely no idea of how to analyze the world outside of race, which makes no sense on so many levels. They will say, oh, white people invented the very concept of race. Okay, let's say they did. Why are you thinking like a white person then? Explain to me how Africans saw each other prior to the arrival of the Europeans then. How did the Arabs see African slaves? Care to explain that one? Somehow I get the impression such concepts are very much out of your intellectual pay grade. Again, these people have no concept of understanding the world or even morality outside of white liberal progressivism, which makes their racism even funnier, claiming to be oh so very enlightened but also brutally narrow-minded. This one legitimately thinks the current state of the world is entirely the fault of white supremacy. She actually said India's caste system was the fault of whites. This is one of the oldest forms of social stratification, about 3,000 years old. Its origin is Hindu, not Christian. My goodness. Let me say something spicy here, more so than I already have. I can completely understand why previous people held views of superiority. It's perfectly logical. If you lived in Europe, let's say, and all you've ever seen was Europe, architecture of stone, sculptures, art, literature, philosophy, universities, markets, military and political structure, and then you find yourself seeing a different continent firsthand, with people who live the most primitive of existence. Nothing is made of stone, even wood. No structures of any magnitude. No sophisticated educational apparatus of any kind. Not even any records of a written language. Why would you not think your people are superior? Anyone who thinks they wouldn't is flat out lying. Now, that's not to say if they were born in a different time or place, they couldn't understand something more sophisticated early on. But if you're seeing this for the first time, you have no other evidence to go on here. I was never bothered by the illogical racism, by the way. I was on your microphone. I was laughing my ass off at the absurdity of all of this. I mean, come on. If someone is screaming at you, fuck you, you're white, I think, no you don't, you're ignorant and stupid, that is not a malleable mind. That is a level of indoctrination so deep you're going to invite nothing but merciless mockery and ridicule. If you're going to say something like all whites are racist, anyone with sense is going to laugh at you and point to you, thinking, all of us? Really? Across time and cultures and languages, we were just born with racism flowing through our veins, are we? Do you have any idea how ridiculously dumb you sound right now? Also, can we take a moment to appreciate the beautiful irony of someone this thick trying to claim that thinking patterns are genetic to a group of supposed white supremacists? Honey, white supremacists would love you because you are the embodiment of everything they believe. You are the avatar of what all five of them who still exist would point to and simply go, that. Besides, if you scream all white people are racist to a group of white people, guess what they're going to think of you? The funniest moment of this whole exchange is one girl asked me, do I think black people face no prejudice or struggles in America? And yes, I know that question was loaded with more booby than Dolly Parton. But I, being very diplomatic, simply said, no, you probably do, but I think it's something you as a group must solve. Miss Banshee over here then immediately took it upon herself to extrapolate from this one of the most dishonest takes and claim this meant I think black people are inferior. Even the people who weren't on my side said, oh come on, he didn't say that. Again, I couldn't get even a word in edgewise because Miss Banshee was still pelling on her red cycle. But anyway, there is a conversation to be had here about prejudice, so let me explain myself. Every human, nay every mammal, has a prejudice. Our brains develop from things we get taught or learn from experience. Prejudices are normal. We discriminate on the basis of all manner of things, be this height, weight, age, sex, race, ethnicity, nationality, class, income, mannerisms, attire, all manner of things. Just for some stupid reason, race is the one that catches all the political flack in our time. Geez, I wonder why. If your group has a bad reputation that heightens the propensity for prejudice, let's say, it is up to you to change that. The onus is on you to change, not them. If you belong to a group that if someone meets you and they will very likely already have a prejudicial view of you before you even speak, you have an opportunity to either reinforce it or subverted, one interaction at a time. Let's say a police officer has had several bad experiences with black criminals, and he meets one black gentleman who is calm, collected, and civil to deal with. That one interaction will do more to improve his perception than any protest ever will, I will guarantee you that. It's funny, once this whole episode dissipated, I went to one of my buddies, Venom. He's black, he's pretty ghetto, but he's based as hell. He will say anything to your face, he doesn't care. And I asked him, do you know who person X is? As soon as I said her name, he went, oh, that bitch is fucking crazy. But I'll end the story with one of the funniest bits of info in the whole episode. The Banshee? Yeah, she's half white mixed. Really wish I wasn't kidding. But yeah, cheers for listening. And once again, I apologize for nothing.